Hello and welcome to the channel, The Art of Healing. It's good to see you. You're very welcome here, and I hope that if you follow through with this video you'll find something that's useful and meaningful that you can take away from it. Today I want to explore silence. Big word that, isn't it? Silence. Some of us are a little scared of silence. Some of us embrace silence. What's your take on silence? So, what do I think silence is? I think for me, silence is that place where my intuition exists and where all the reserves of knowledge available to me lie. So, in other words, if I'm able to be quiet, I can find things out about myself, about my life, about my purpose, just by listening and receiving answers. Now, that's perhaps not so easy just on the surface, but I can tell you it is, and it just takes some courage and some trust and a tiny leap of faith just to try it. So many world religions offer us a path to silence, and you might call it prayer, some might call it meditation. But what if you don't pray, or you don't meditate, or you don't think you can meditate, or you don't want to meditate? Have you got access to silence? Yes, of course you have. We all have. All it takes is a few minutes of just shutting things out. Just being quiet with yourself and just listening to yourself. Simple. Truly simple. And when we start to overcomplicate it and go into the meditation mode of I can't meditate because I can't settle my voice down, that's when we come a bit unstuck. But you can do this, and it's just the simplest thing on earth, so I would encourage you to try. But what's the point of it? What silence? Why? Who needs silence? What do we find there? I have got with me the Mystical Dream Tarot, and I'm going to ask it what it would like us to know. Now, it's quite useful when you're asking questions of the tarot to be quite specific, so you don't get a very woolly answer. So I'm going to ask if the tarot today can tell us what we might discover in silence and what the purpose of that is. Now, I don't normally read with this particular tarot deck because it is full of imagery from the Pythia of Delphi to Sigmund Freud's couch, so the whole history of dream study is encapsulated in this tarot very beautifully. But I thought today this is perfect. So let's have a go, and I'm just going to draw 3 cards asking what do we need to know about the benefit of silence. What can you tell us of the benefits of silence? 3 cards. Right, let's look at these one by one and see if we can discover anything from them. We've got 3 in order: the Moon, the 6 of Wands, and the Sun. But now these aren't conventional cards, so let's look at them and look at the imagery together and see if we can explore anything in it. So here's the Moon, and what do we see? The Moon, of course. The Moon represents our unconscious life. Or our higher consciousness, if you want. It's where our secret world lies. So when you dream, you enter into the state encapsulated by the Moon. The Moon hides a lot of truth, sometimes for our own good and sometimes not for our own good. But we all have to face the Moon. And so just as we face this Moon, we have to face silence. Let's go on. So an unusual take here on the 6 of Wands, because here we have, I'm sorry about the light flashing on that card, but let's try it here. There we go. So we have in a chemical jar, there's probably a correct name for that, any chemists out there, you tell me, we have a snake. So in this jar we are repressing knowledge. So how does that answer what do we find in silence? Simple. That if we repress knowledge and we don't access that world of the Moon that we just saw, we don't find the knowledge. So let's look at the next card, which is the Sun. And that is the card in the tarot, whichever tarot you go to, for illumination and knowledge, the highest form of it. So we are being urged to confront our fears, not bottle up our repressions and our anxieties, but to face them front on, find answers through silence. So by going into listening mode and by being brave enough to hear what you're being told and not dismiss it, you can find all sorts of truths. I'm going to follow that through with a few more cards, and let's just see if that clarifies or gives you any more detail. That's quite broad, so let's go on. 3 more cards, please, to clarify this. So, okay. We're getting big cards, which is interesting because this is a big question. So, underneath the moon, we get the card for Judgment. Now, Judgment can be that sort of end of world reckoning when we face up to what we have achieved or haven't achieved. So, what if we live a life not achieving what we set out to do when we came here? What if we fail in our life's mission? What is our judgment call then? So this sits under the moon. This sits under disillusion. So can accessing silence and accessing the knowledge of silence give us anything else? So underneath the 6 of Wands, and there we have the serpent repressed within the glass, we have the Tower. And this is the fall. This is the necessary cleansing to release us to better things. If you don't go through trauma and chaos, you don't emerge better for it. So we're being asked here, by confronting what we're hiding in plain sight, to allow ourselves transformation. And the last card we get, which came under the Sun, Illumination, we have the 3 of Wands. Normally a card of simple celebration or assessing the future. Let's look at it as assessing the future and place it under the Sun, the Illumination. And let's say that if we allow ourselves to understand our truth, we can find our path. And there is help out there. You can see there is a very, very tall figure here behind or in front of 2 small figures. So we have spiritual guidance and spiritual assistance that waits to be asked. It doesn't just help, it waits to be asked. So if you invite it in, you will get the help you need. And that's part of this business of silence, is asking the people or the spirit beings who are there to enter and do their job. Talk to you, give you guidance and put you right. I want to draw just under that one, I want to draw one more card, because the journey of knowledge is what we're looking for, I'm fairly sure, after this. So have you anything more to tell us, please, on the journey of knowledge? To follow the Sun and to follow the 3 of Wands, that path to knowledge. And we have the Wise Fox, which is not a traditional tarot card, but you can see that it involves itself with death. And you will often find in a reading when the Tower comes up, the Death card will follow pretty quickly. Here it's been nicely named the Wise Fox, so we're being asked to use our wits and our wiles to cope with transformation, to look at things that could be calamitous or seem calamitous, and ask if they are in fact that, or are they necessary steps? Are they the cleansers that move us on to a better life and a better world, a better way of living? So that's something you can think about. I don't like to dictate what cards say, but I like to suggest what cards say. And if you're watching this, you'll have your own opinion, so I'll leave you to draw it. So I hope that somewhere in that you found something about what I call silence, and perhaps you don't call it silence. Is there silence? Yeah, I think there is, but we may all have different definitions of how we find silence within ourselves. You might prefer to use stillness as a word. You might prefer to use prayer, you might prefer to use meditation. You choose. It's your word. It's just a word. So thank you for being with me today, and thank you for listening through if you have. And one thing I would really like you to do is to try being silent. Just shut the world out for a minute. Close your eyes, forget what you're doing. You only need a minute, and just listen. And please remember, we walk before we run. So if it doesn't happen immediately, just try it again. Leave it a day, try it again. There's no rush, there's no hurry. It's just an opportunity for you to find out more about what your life needs and where you are missing the path. You might be lucky, you might not be missing the path, but most of us are. So have a look, ask, and I would really, really love it if you would put something in the comments about this. What is your experience of silence? And when you are silent, what do you hear? Do you hear anything? Do you hear answers? Do you hear sound? Let us know. So thank you again. I'll end this reading off here, and if you would like to subscribe, that would be amazing. Hit the like button, hit the dislike button if you didn't like it, that's fine by me. And best of all though, leave a comment, and I will be back soon with something else to look at with the cards. And I thank you for being here today. Bye bye.